My name is Andrea, and we are here at Raffles Talk for this edition of interviews with our course leader. And today I'm very glad to host Mr. Carlo Forcolini, which is the course leader of the Master in Product and Interior Design here at Raffles Milano. So, Carlo, welcome with us.
Thank you to you to invite me today.
Okay, so this is an occasion, Carlo, just to brainstorm, to share some ideas about what is the course in product and interior design here in Milano, here at Raffles. But first of all, I would like to start with your incredible experience. Before we start at all, if Carlo starts talking, it's like we take half an hour at least. So we have to try to stay
in synthesis.
In synthesis, yes.
Okay, fine. When I was young, unfortunately, many years ago, I studied in Academy of Fine Art. In the last year, I was involved in the Castiglioni studios. Castiglioni brother belong to the methodology and are the myth of the Italian design. And in that case, in this situation, I discover what means design. Design means humanization of technology, in a short expression. And then after this experience, finish my study and work in Castiglioni's office, I formed my own company, my first own company, because I get married very, very young. And then to solve this question, I realized that the only way, speedy way, to solve the question was to design things, to produce, and to try to sell it.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it was a time in Italy with a sort of boom, economic boom, and therefore I had success in that. But belong to my characters, I get a little bit. Let's say, when I reach one target, immediately I have to think something else.
You want to go to the next level.
Yeah, to the next one. So I sold this company, and I was involved in the Magistretti's office. Vico Magistretti is another myth of Italian design, but in that case I had a sort of a friend relationship with Vico, and Vico introduced me in some companies. One was Oluce Italia, which is an historical lighting company, and the Padova. The Padova, she was a mytho, another the best shop in the world for furniture in general, And in this occasion, I was involved also in the marketing area, and therefore, from one side, I started as a designer, and also like a little imprenditor. But in this new situation, I realized what is the market. What is the distribution, what it means to produce in Italy and to sell all over in the world. That is an interesting question, because you must be very organized. The chain of the supplier must be very efficient.
Just in time.
Just in time, otherwise you have a problem. And that's it. So what it was peculiar that I formed my own companies with some friends, of course. One is Elias, and Elias in the 80s was the most innovative company in our field. From technology point of view and from also the philosophy of the company, because I didn't choose the product, but my attitude was to choose the different designer representing different approach making design. Then will be a sort of gymnasium where the different tendencies were very representative, and therefore we work as a sort of witness of the time.
Witness of the time. And when you say that, I see that your history as a professional designer is very peculiar, because you had the possibility to work with incredible brands. Castiglione is very famous for the Arco lamp.
Yeah.
Vico Magistretti is
For the Eclipse,
of course, is an incredible name. We stay in the lighting, lighting design is your main, I'd say, your focus.
Oh yes, I worked for about 13 years for Artemide, and I designed some very successful products for Artemide, and also I work for Cassina, which is another important brand, Italian brand, and then for the Padova, of course, not for so many companies, because in my opinion, the work of the designer belongs to the identity of the companies. And when a designer designs for a lot of different companies, in a way, the brand of this company are losing something.
Yeah, you're like a chameleon, and then you...
Yes.
You don't follow too much.
It was my feeling.
And nowadays, things change and the market is completely different.
Oh, yeah, yes, but because, in Italy, in the past, and until some years ago, designer, it plays like a sort of director. And then it was a marketing and so on, but all these professionals were under the designer work. Therefore, the design creates so strong image of the companies, because the attitude of the designer as a professional is to invent always because the new.
The concept is that designers at that time were working for big companies and were hiring kind of superstars that they bring their own vision, and then the company benefit from their expertise.
Exactly. And this is in a very short words is my career. Then in about 15 years ago, somebody came to me and asked to involve in a very important group for design education, the Italian group.
And then there is history, and now we're here.
And now I'm here. I think that this experience in educational are the most important in my life, because responsibility
towards the students
to work in this field is very high. When you design a product, in a way, when you finish your work, okay, is a fantastic, because you are sleeping during the night, and there is somebody else in the other part of the world that is going to buy your product, and you have a profit, and in the same time you are sleeping, and that is fantastic from my point of view. But to be involved in education is completely another story.
But let's say, Carlo, I would like to try to explain to the students that are following us which are the main topics they can study during your master course in product and interior design, because it's a blend of many different things to create the professional designers of the future.
Yeah. So the idea is that despite what normal are considered different works to be interior designer and product designer, in my own experience, are the same things. And if you ask to the professional in this field, they can say that that is the question, because for one point, that the client maybe ask you, could you design my home? And in that case, you have to play like interior designer. But if you have a good relationship with your client, the client in the second step will say, so I want to open a pizzeria or a restaurant. Could you make a project for them? Oh, yes, of course, it's my work. On the third step, when you're making project for pizzeria, they ask, could you design the table and chair and all all things, with my brand? And in that case, you must be able to be a product designer.
So let's say you start from one point, but if you have the competencies and the skills, you can use in different ways.
Yeah, because when you are you are a professional in the market, free professional. The first thing is that to satisfy the client, because the client are coming back. And you have to keep very straight to your client, because especially now for the young people, the competition is very, very strong. And you must be able to give all the time positive answer. And that is the reason that we organized this master for product and interior design, because in reality are two faces of the same coin.
Oh, amazing. So let's say this method is based a lot on real projects, visits in the most important companies outside our school, and project work in the lab. So all the methodology is very important too.
Absolutely. So the methodology is the first things that I say to the student, you have to understand very well, because we are creative, but it's not say that you are creative all the time of your life. Creativity is something very difficult to understand, and there are some times that you are very creative, sometimes that you have a problem because you continue to think how to solve a question and nothing is coming. And in that crisis time is important method, because method supports you all the time and give you the instrument to start again for the analysis of the context, how we call it, then to understand what is the way to make a project, to try to find different hypotheses of the project, to develop the first prototype or the first project following what you consider the best.
But Carlo, let me ask you this question. I can study, this is the design method, design process, learning by doing.
Yeah.
But I could study in Northern Europe design. I could go in Asia and study there. Raffles is based in Singapore, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Raffles group decided to open the European lab just here in Milano. So I would like to ask you, since you have a long history in the Italian design sector, in the industry, why Milano do you think is so important, and what the students could discover by studying here that cannot find somewhere else?
But in Milan there is a millennial tradition, because now we call design, when we say design, we are thinking about discipline born 20, 30, 40 years ago, but in reality design is very, very old. Was born with the first
wheel,
with the first sapiens, and through the century, Milan became very important about 800 years ago, making all the metal work for the knights go to the war.
Okay.
And there was the most refined and the most efficient in that case.
Kind of knights and swords.
Coming from all over, from Europe in Milan to buy this fantastic object.
So, Carlo, are we dating back to, I'd say, Leonardo da Vinci?
Before Leonardo, we are around the 13th century. And this tradition gets through the century, of course. But regarding the design, how we consider today, the question is very interesting because design was born in North Europe, in England, in Germany, following the first industrial revolution. But at the time, Italy, it was an agriculture economy, and we were
not at the same level.
No, we were not in the same evolution. I mean, but this is quite strange because this. It was very lucky for us that despite the design in England and Germany was born in the industry, then following the engineerization, because the first step is engineerization. Second step is design. To say, so we have to shape the object with a nice shape, nice color, and so on. In Italy, it was completely different because in Italy, design was born in the futurist movement, in the artistic movement. And this DNA create during the time completely different approach.
So let me just try to see if I understand your point. It's like in Europe, in England, for example, the design followed the industrial evolution.
Yeah.
But in Italy, for the futuristic movement, I'd say 1930s, something like that.
No, before 1920.
1920s?
1910. It's between 10 and 20.
Boccioni.
Yes.
Okay. That artistic movement was that spark that started the Italian design.
Yeah, it was in the manifesto of the design was born in the manifesto of the futurist artist in 1909. In Paris, in the newspaper appeared a Manifesto Futuristi where is written that art was dead and the new art was produced in the manufacture with incredible number of copies, the same product. It was a manifesto of Italian design, and in fact, the first designer in Italy were the futurist artists.
Amazing.
Amazing, because these artists, for example, Fortunato De Pero, used to work for Campari company, and today there is the bitter Campari company, which is a cone, a red cone.
You can find in Italy everywhere. It's like a tiny bottle, but it is like a flute, a reverse flute, right?
Yeah, it's a fantastic product. This has been designed in 1937. And the peculiarity of this designer, it was as an artist, they design product, they design brand, they design publicity, advertising, they create the environment and so on.
So in a nutshell, we can say that there's artistic movement was the initial phase for the Italian design, especially Milano, and still today, students came from all over the world to live this experience.
Because the question is that innovation are coming always from in two sectors. One is science or art. It's difficult to find a real innovation in another field, because the scientists and the artists always they are working to give an interpretation of the world, but thinking to the future. And therefore, it's very important this profile of Italian design. They maintain always, from the methodology point of view, a pragmatic attitude to make, in the end, project with a successful in the market and so on. But what belongs to the innovation, you must be an artist.
I will say that for my personal experience of Italian design is like an artistic attitude, but a strong sense of functionality, and let's say proudly business oriented.
Yes, of course. In design we have three different categories that we take care. One is the syntactic. That means that all the components of the project must be functional, must be the right one. The second step is semantic, the meaning of the shape, because all kind of shape we are choosing has a general meaning in the history, in the different memory of the different civilization. And the third point is pragmatic. And in pragmatic, it means that you have to focus in how this product will be used by the common people. And the common people has to find the product fantastic immediately. And because very often the first answer when you buy a product is a sort of emotional.
I like it.
Yeah. I like it. Before to say is working well or not.
How much is it?
And,
I like it or not?
I don't know if this has happened to the other people, but sometimes I find myself in the situation that I bought something that I like very much, even if it's not working so well.
Carlo, you're a designer, so you see some waves that we don't catch.
But the beauty is a richness in our eyes, no? And this is an attitude of the artist, of the designer, because the beauty doesn't exist if you are not able to recognize.
Yeah, I'm agree. Carlo, let's focus a bit on, let's say, what the students learn here during your master. Let's say there are a lot of topics, but generally speaking, could you try to summarize this 1 year experience of a master in a nutshell?
Well, the first thing is the method, because normally in all kind of school there is a student and there is a professor. The professor are talking about some questions, some problem, how to find a solution, and this is the normal method, no? We work in an opposite way. I used to say, this is the theme of the project. Now, you have to try to give an answer by yourself. And then the students are coming to the professor And it's completely opposite because we are
It's an
working,
exchange between the professor and the students.
I mean, it's heavy work because all the time you have to try to understand what the student what express, what is the meaning of what is design. Because sometimes, for example, design thinks one thing that has nothing to do with what they have in the mind, and this is the saving work. So you have to clarify all the time, step by step, what they are doing, and then you say, now you have, in my opinion, thinking about this and to modify a little bit, and then the students are going to modify, then again we discuss together, and that's it.
Until you find the right spot.
Yeah.
I will say, Carlo, that it's like there is a lot of methodology in terms of research to create a mood board, to do prototyping a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finally, and then, as you say, trial and error until there is the prototype final, and then you present as a professional.
Of course, we have a lab where we develop the prototype, the model, and with a different material, of course. And but you know, in the last years, can be very, very important also how to show how you organize the presentation of your work. And this is very important because, you know, the manager of the company, very often they have a short time. No? And then you must be able to express in synthesis the quality of your project through the image. And this is very important. Therefore, there is a graphic approach to organize the right presentation in the short time with the synthesis and so on.
So let's say presentation skills, kind of show yourself and your product in a managerial, let's say, as a true real professional.
Yes, absolutely.
But we train students to do that because sometimes they really have they are over skilled when they arrive. But some of them we need to try to pull out their own their vibes.
There is another point that looks like secondary. In my opinion, it's not secondary because, for example, if you want to be a professional, you must be punctual. You cannot reach your client 15 minutes later because the condition of the young generation now is that they have an incredible competition. And if you are reaching the client 15 minutes later, there are 15
other projects
before you. And this, it means to assume the mentality of the professional. And when you say that you have to develop a project in 15 days, must be in 15 days, not in 30 days.
So I would say that besides the labs, besides the visits outside the schools, visiting the companies, studying the material, working on methodology, there is this strong work ethic that they can learn here at Raffles.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, in the last year, the question of sustainability, it becomes very important, for example. And there is an incredible number of new products, new materials that you have to know. And this is a research. And to be a good researcher, you must be very professional, I mean.
It takes time to find the right way to gather things, informations.
Yes. It's not just a walk-in. It's something very, very, very serious.
Okay, thanks, Carlo. It's very enlightening. I would say that after this one-year program, which is quite an intense experience for our students that travel from all around the world to study here in Milano, here at Raffles, there is the future. Let's say which is the outcome, what I can do when I finish this course.
Well, in my opinion, when a student finishes this master, he learns abilities to make projects, but what is very important for me, he assumes the mentality of the professional, of the international professional, and he can work just as a designer, or like artistic director, art director, for example. Or, for example, I discovered that one of our past students specializes in self-making representation. Because that is a good point. Sometimes in the company, in the manufacturer, they need somebody that is able to transfer the product
in a good presentation.
In a good presentation for the client, for all people,
a kind of
for
visual artist,
for the retailer, and so on. And there are a lot, but the most important is to become entrepreneur. For example, this is one of my great satisfaction starting this master, because in the first year we had two students, one it was Chinese, one Milanese, and they became friends, and in the end they create their own company, and they create products. Fantastic
and they are on the market with their products.
3D printing, and they are selling through
online.
Through online.
Okay, online
their
own channel.
This. Okay, and they are successful, and that is fantastic, because when you are so mature to be a right designer, you are very close to be an entrepreneur.
Well, Carlo, I think that you suggested a very important topic, which is that in Raffles we have students from literally every continent, right? So they have also the chance to meet their next business partner for the future and create incredible bonds.
There is a fantastic experience. Last year we had a student from India, and the student, the father of the student, has a chain of furniture shops in India, and he came in Milan, and in the first he didn't tell me this story, but all the time he said, "Professor, I want to develop an interior project for furniture shop." I say, well, it's interesting. So it was fantastic, because step by step, I realized that he was using the plan of the shop of his father, and to make a new project for him. And it was so enthusiastic, because in the end he had 3 different projects with different targets on the market, with a different kind of product, blah, 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 and so on. And that is very useful.
But it's very interesting to see that the next generation are taking their own roles in the future, right? They're taking, they're getting into the in the market as professional designers, and take advantage of the previous generation, and go beyond. Would you suggest, Carlo, any advice for the students that they should take in consideration to approach this kind of master course, and generally speaking to the professionalism, to the profession of the design?
I realized one thing, is that the new generation, they don't like to get handles dirty. But the history of the human being are coming from the people
they go in the lab and use the sewing machine use the tools, this kind of stuff.
And it's a pleasure to work with the machinery, and it is a sort of dream when you see your idea that is abstract, no? It's just an idea that became something solid, became something...
You can touch it.
That you can touch it, you can talk about it, and that's it, and you create by yourself. It's a sort of miracle. It's a sort of miracle. And this kind of satisfaction is possible to find only in this kind of profession.
Thanks, Carlo. Thanks, everyone, for following us in this series of Raffles Talk Masterclass. Carlo is the course leader of the Master in Product Interior Design. I think he shared to us many incredible insights, a long history, but the future is beyond, right?
We have to work for the future.
Thanks, Carlo.
Thank you very much.
Ciao,
Bye.
ciao.
Bye.
Thanks.
Ciao.